So this week on Extra, we're going to head out to JNT. So I've got the Sump for Boss XC to go out there. So I'm going to take that, but I'm going to give you a good look around out there, what he's up to and how he gets everything done. Righto, so we're at JNT now. So I've got Matt here with me. How you going, buddy?
Yeah, good stuff.
Good. So Matt's doing the tank for Boss XC. So I brought that out a couple of weeks ago and he's working through that process. But I've also now brought the Sump out to be welded up, which people have seen if they're watching the Boss XC Road to Top 60 program. But today, seeing I'm here, I thought we'll grab the opportunity, bring the camera and just look at what you do, because I find it really unique in the process, and a lot of people that I talk to didn't even know how it happens or understand that it can be done.
Yeah, definitely.
So all the products you see here are all made on site, and it is a spinning process, and that process is about taking a piece of flat aluminium and sometimes steel as well.
Steel, obviously. Yeah,
yep. And they take a flat piece. You've got a CNC machine?
Yep, CNC metal spin machine that basically replicates the same shape of however many blanks you want to put into the machine.
So you cut the blank out, and then that blank's put into a die to actually spin the shape to start making the object, and what this is going to end up being. So that's your first pass?
That's one of the first parts, yeah.
Okay, so that then ends up becoming half a donut.
Half a donut, yep.
Now explain to me, why does someone want half a donut?
Well, it depends if you want to just try and achieve a tight 90-degree bend or a 180. You can just cut it in half and weld the two halves together, and you've got a nice tight radius bend.
Makes sense.
A lot of manual bends only come in 1.5 times diameter, so it's actually quite a sharp.
Yeah, so I understand
not a
full
bend
donut,
it, so,
but I didn't understand why people would actually buy half, but now I do. So it's one way.
If you're trying to achieve just a 90-degree bend, you just buy one half.
Buy one, cut it up, and weld it yourself.
Yep, definitely.
And obviously you weld them and make full donuts,
we do,
which we'll have a look at in a minute. So to achieve this, then there's a couple of processes, obviously.
Yeah, there's multiple steps, yeah.
So the first one's to put the hole in, I believe.
Yeah, so we basically spin the first run here, then we'll take it onto a manual machine, we'll trim the actual smaller hole out. Then we go back onto the second die, which is this one here, and it'll do the outside spinning process. And then we'll take these back to a manual machine, we'll hand finish these to give them a nice tight closed grain so you don't have that orange peel sort of look to it. Trim them down to the size, clean them and stack them on the shelf. Okay, so this one is that process? Internal process, yeah.
Okay, so that one spins it that way, comes off there, goes on here, and we end up with this. Yep. And then if we grab another one, they then weld them together, which everybody's seen a donut where they're welded up, and you can cut those up to make the pipe work that you need, whether it be...
Yeah, like you get your standard 90-degree bends and everything else, and someone might need like an 87-degree bend. That's where these are perfect to cut that angle out that you need to try and achieve.
Awesome. So that's the first bit. So we're going to show you lots. So that's the donuts. And obviously there's a lot of other dies here that you make all sorts of shapes.
All sorts, yeah.
Explain some of these to us, mate.
So these are just the breather tank shells. So you're doing a custom catch can. This will suit like a 1-inch breather on top. We do these guys in all different sizes, different size necks on them. So just depending on what you want to try and use it.
Fingerprints all over it, but so that starts out as a sheet of aluminium.
Yep, sheet of aluminium, flat sheet of aluminium in a circle.
That's amazing.
And that's not even a polished finish. That's just how they come off the machine.
Off the machine.
So that's how we hand finish them. So if someone does want to polish them, it won't take long to get.
And obviously you do lots of sizes, because I've seen them.
Lots of different sizes,
yeah.
Surge tank shells, breather tank shells, dry sump tank shells. We've got air filter boxes. So yeah, multiple different things. It's amazing what you can do with a flat piece of metal.
Looks like a 70s light, mate.
Yeah, well, there's actually light dyes and stuff down here for old school lights and everything else.
So you still do a few of those?
Not as much, but you know, obviously when a customer wants something done, you get the die made and it just sits there. You might not touch it for 10 years and all of a sudden someone wants it.
Yeah, I know I had some turned up for the centre of my wheels on the Mustang.
Yeah.
Back before your time, actually, the previous guy.
Yeah. Okay.
So how long have you been here now?
This is into our 6th year now.
Okay. So you bought an existing business?
Bought an established business and sort of learnt in 3 weeks how to metal spin. So
I bet you learned a lot since then.
Yeah, business, it's fun. Yeah.
So tell me about the aluminium. So it's obviously, is it something special or?
Yeah, so we use an 1100 series aluminium sheet. The idea is because it's a pure alloy, so the finish and the quality of the material is what really makes the product. And people find that out when they use it and they weld it and they realise that, hey, this stuff's
so much easier to weld.
It's a lot better to weld.
So okay, pure aluminium. So if it's not pure, what sort of things are in it that if you're buying the wrong aluminium?
Oh, it depends on really the grade. There's lots of different grades out there, so you can get a lot of the harder stuff. Basically, Yeah, you got
Yeah, it's got impurities in it. Yeah, so obviously the purer it is, the better it is.
Yeah. So basically, that's the material that we use because we find that that's what spins better day in, day out. So,
cool. All right. Well, we'll move on and have a look at some other bits and pieces.
Yep, not a problem.
So, Matt, you obviously got a lot of different bits and pieces in here. So you obviously manufacture these for people to weld into things themselves?
Yeah, we do. So our base core is just fabrication components that people can take the bits that we have for sale and fabricate a car, boat. We do airplane stuff as well with nose cones and bits and pieces.
Looks like wheel centers, all sorts of things.
Yeah, full drive wheel centers. You've got velocity stacks, reducers, AN weld-on fittings, billet lids, all your AN adapter lines, silicon, custom mesh cover velocity stacks and breather tanks and stuff in there.
Righto, so Matt's going to show us something I've always wanted to see done. So this is going to make a velocity stack. We've all seen these on these really cool injected engines, and believe it or not, what he's got in his hand, he started off with a bit of flat sheet. So just explain us the process, mate, and then talk through the process as you're doing it.
Yeah, so basically the same as what Howard just said, these do start from a flat sheet. We do a CNC run first to replicate the same shape over and over again. And once we're done to this stage, we'll come to one of our manual spinning machines. We'll set this all up and go through the process of doing it. So give us a bit of a demo. So first off, what we'll do is we'll trim the back edge nice and square so we're not having that sharp wobbly edge hanging around. Now we'll go through and we'll basically close all this machine lines up, get a nice smooth finish, then we'll tuck it into the top of the die and then do the next part, fold it over. So this is basically squashing it down onto the actual die, so we get a nice smooth finish on the outside and closing up the grain. That's how they get that nice shiny look to them.
So what thickness is that you start off with?
Sorry, Howard?
What thickness of metal do you start with?
So we start with a 2mm sheet. By the time they finish, we try and keep them as thick as possible, but they do drop down at the thinness of about 1.8. But obviously, depending on how much pressure you're going to put into them, it will determine how the finished thickness will work. But as you're doing it, you can feel the amount of pressure you're putting behind it and actually what it's doing with the actual tooling. So you can feel there's sort of nothing there, but once we lock it down on the die, you can definitely hear a difference in it. You can also feel the difference through the tooling as well. So now we've sort of got that locked in, we'll smooth out the top part where we've just used the radius edge. Each bell mouth will have a required size, so what we'll tend to do is just trim this down so we can eyeball where we know where we need to be. And then we start to shape the back of it with the tooling. Come to our trusty state-of-the-art axe handle that has been radiused out, so we can use this to get it to start to go over. So as we're working it over, we're actually squashing it down to the tooling and pulling it away from the tooling so it doesn't clash with the back. Come back through, we'll finish off that lip. And that'll go on to be cleaned. That's a velocity state.
Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to get Matt just to explain to us firstly, because this machine's a bit noisier, so you'll explain what's happening with this one and then quickly go through the process and show us how it works.
So this is our CNC based metal spinning machine. Everything that we make is basically saved into a program on the system. We load the program, chuck on our dies, set our machine to start, and away we go. So basically what we're going to do here is the first run of a 2 1/4 inch tight radius donut half. And like everything starts from a flat sheet of aluminium, spins it out in its first part.
So what sort of roller are they, mate?
They're just a hardened steel roller.
Okay.
So we do use a nylon roller as well. The nylon roller we use for the outside of the donut, so they're not quite as aggressive on the finish, so we can try and keep that nice texture on there. So. That's it.
So Matt, thanks for your time today, mate. It's been, like I've seen a few bits and pieces. I'm sure everyone's going to love what you're doing, and there's so much more that you do. And this big machine here obviously is steel and wheel tubs.
Yeah, a lot of vital things get made on this. This is where we do a lot of our big aircraft nose cones, and then obviously a lot of the steel basically gets done down here.
Cool. So mate, we might even get back and have another look at some of the other things. So this one here, I need to wind it up, or we're going to end up about an hour and a half long.
It'd be too long.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
Thanks everyone for coming along. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, click like, make some comments. Matt will probably jump on and answer some if he's got some time. If not, I'll get back to you and give you some answers on what we've been up to.